We all know times are tough right now. No matter where you live in the world, we have all been dealing with things that have not only affected our well-being, but also our bank accounts. As fish keepers, this can be particularly concerning because we still want to do what's best for our pets and grow in this beautiful hobby. So here is our list of what we believe are the 10 best ways to save money in fish keeping. Keep in mind that most of the things that we include on this list are going to apply to people that have multiple tanks and still want to continue progressing in this hobby. If you only have one tank, we probably won't save you a ton of money, but don't go anywhere. There's still things on this list that can help you too. If you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe, and if you know a great way to save money fish keeping, be sure to put it in the comment section below. Back in the day, if you wanted to get a good deal on things, you'd have to get in the car on a Saturday morning and drive around looking for yard sales. Yeah, I know there's still people out there doing them, but not as much as they used to. The main reason you don't see them as much is Craigslist. If you've been alive over the last 10 years or so, you're totally familiar with what Craigslist is. But if you're not, it's basically a 24/7 online yard sale where people will post things they don't want anymore. If you see something that you want and it's a good deal, you actually go to the poster's house and pick it up. One of the unfortunate things about the fish keeping hobby is that people are constantly getting out of the hobby for one reason or another. Once they're out, they want to get rid of the aquarium and equipment fast, and usually for super cheap. We've bought more aquariums than we can even count off of Craigslist, and we've saved a ton of money this way. Usually when people post aquariums on Craigslist, they're going to be selling the entire setup, and sometimes that includes all of the decorations and even the fish. If you're trying to get a larger tank but can't afford a new one, or maybe you're trying to collect as many tanks as possible to set up a breeding project, this is a great way to get a bunch of tanks really fast, usually for super cheap. As long as you don't mind buying used stuff. It's never really been a problem for me.
If you're a member of one of your local aquarium clubs and you've been to one of their meetings, then most likely you've seen one of their auctions. If you haven't, then you should check one out because they're a lot of fun. These auctions are the way that most clubs earn revenue to keep things going. Club members and sometimes even stores or manufacturers will donate fish, plants, invertebrates, and equipment to be auctioned off at these meetings. Not only can you get things super cheap, you're also keeping the club afloat, which is a really awesome thing. Most of the time you're not going to find large tanks and big equipment, but if you're looking for pets or plants to go in your tanks, this is a great time to not only save money but also get really good quality stock. The majority of the fish and plants auctioned off will be bred or propagated by another member of the club, so you know they're going to be super good quality, and the bonus is they'll usually have them sold in groups. You won't buy just one angel. It'll be a bag of 3 or 6 of them for pennies on the dollar. Go to your local aquarium club meeting, meet some really cool people, get some amazing stuff for super cheap, and you're helping out your aquarium club at the exact same time. Everyone wins.
Okay, I know this might sound like a curveball here, but hear me out. Let's say you bought 8 to 10 guppies, you put them in a nice tank, and you keep their water nice and clean and take good care of them. What's guaranteed to happen? Well, if you've kept guppies before, you know the answer is they're going to multiply like crazy, and you're not even going to have to try. What do you do with all those babies? Well, you can save money in 2 different ways. One is they're free fish. When you buy a group and they start reproducing, you'll have an endless supply of free fish. That's like buying a guaranteed winning lottery ticket. The second is if you get absolutely overrun with these fish, you can sell off the babies to your friends and other fish keepers, or you can take them to your local fish store and sell them to them. Selling to a friend puts immediate money in your pocket, which you can then use to buy whatever you want, but usually fish stores will pay you in the form of a store credit. Store credit is great because you know you're going to be spending more money in there anyway, so you might as well get some stuff for free. Of course, this doesn't just apply to guppies. It applies to shrimp, plants, or any other kind of fish, really, and you don't necessarily have to do the store credit thing. Sometimes you can negotiate with the stores and get cash on the spot. Don't go into the deal expecting that, though. Most of them like to do the credit. Oh, and quick tip, if you want a guaranteed way to make some money doing this, go to the fish store before you even start breeding. Ask them what fish they can't get enough of. If they say, well, we sell a ton of swordtails and our suppliers can't keep up with the demand, then breed swordtails. It's a no-brainer.
When it comes to heating your fish tanks, there's an easy way to save money. But this only applies if you have a fish room, not if you have fish tanks spread out all over the house. Think about it like this. Let's say you have 24 tanks in your fish room of all different sizes. If you're running heaters in each individual tank, you're spending a ton of money and you don't even know it. Heaters are expensive to buy up front, and we all know when you're plugging something into the wall, you're going to be spending some money on electric. Heaters can cause a huge strain on your power bill, not to mention the fact that heaters are one of the most common pieces of fish keeping equipment that fail, which means you're constantly going out and buying new ones. Again, spending a lot of money. For the cost of a few aquarium heaters, you can buy a nice space heater and heat the entire room to the desired temperature you're looking for. Yes, the heater is bigger and certainly draws more power, but at the end of the day, it'll save you a ton of money. That is, as long as you can tolerate the room being 80 to 82 degrees. I like that because I'm a woman and I'm always cold, but John, no. I guess I could do it and just have the room all to myself. All the little things.
Okay, so this is a debate that Lisa and I have been having for years, but you really can't argue the fact that if you're setting up multiple tanks all at one time, you're gonna save some money taking advantage of Petco's dollar per gallon sale. Petco is doing these sales every few months now where they'll sell these tanks up to 55 gallons. I think it's 55 gallons. Don't quote me on that. For $1 per gallon. A 10-gallon will cost you $10. A 20-gallon, $20. You get it. If you're wanting to set up 12 10-gallon tanks to start breeding fish so you can make a little extra money, you can get all the tanks for $120. You can't beat that. Yeah, it's just the tanks. You've still got to figure out filtration, lighting, heating, and all the other stuff, but it's much easier to go to one store, spend $120, and walk out with 12 tanks than to search Craigslist and drive all over the place picking them up. Plus, it's nice because all of your tanks will be the exact same size, same manufacturer, and all that. Consistency is a beautiful thing.
We all know that when you buy a whole lot of stuff in bulk, the cost is going to be a lot cheaper. But have you thought about doing that with fish supplies? If you have a bunch of tanks, you've got to maintain them and feed the fish. Well, there's some things that you can buy in bulk that'll save you some big money. First, let's talk about the food. Everybody knows that we love Extreme and we feed it to almost all of our fish. Extreme is available in several different sizes, including a 5-pound container of it. 5 pounds of Extreme costs $58 on Amazon, which might freak you out, but think about it for a second. A normal container like this is 10.5 ounces and costs $15.50 on Amazon. You'd have to buy 7.5 of these to get the same 5 pounds, which means you'd end up paying $116.25. No brainer. Next, let's talk about another common product used in fish rooms, Stress Coat from API. You could buy a container like this for around $8 on Amazon, or you can buy a gallon of it for $39.45. You'd have to buy 8 of these to get a gallon, which would cost you $64.64. In both of these examples, it costs half to buy in bulk. The price tag might be steep up front, but you'll have enough to last you a long time. And if the cost is still too high, have a friend buy it with you. You still get a ton of food or chemicals at half the cost. John will put links in the description so you don't think we're making all of this up.
I don't know about you, but we don't have any mom and pop fish stores around us. We've got a Petco right around the corner, but sometimes they don't have exactly what I want. I like to support brick and mortar stores as much as possible, but sometimes it doesn't make sense when I've got to drive over an hour each way to go to a fish store. This is where Amazon comes in. I drive a full-size Dodge Ram. The closest fish store to me is about an hour away, and I have to pay a $6 toll to go there. Let's say I need General Cure, which costs like 12 bucks. What makes more sense? Driving there, which with the cost of gas, the toll, plus the cost of the medication, it's gonna total to be around $33 plus tax. Or order it off of Amazon with free shipping and I'll have it tomorrow for $12. I love supporting mom and pops, but this is really not a difficult decision. Plus, there's always special deals on Amazon, like 2 for a certain price, etc. It's not even up for debate this is a better choice. But I still believe in supporting local fish stores, so if you're not in a situation like mine and you have one right down the street, just go there and support them, even if it costs you a couple more dollars. We need these stores if we want this hobby to keep growing. Shout out to KGTropicals and House of Tropicals, my 2 favorites.
When John and I talked about the 10 things that we wanted to include on this list, we decided to add one that was a little out there. Something you wouldn't expect to see on a list like this. How many of you are doing water changes and draining the water into a sink or a drain in the floor? Or even dumping buckets of dirty fish tank water down the toilet? We've all done it. Next question is, how many of you have a nice planter bed or garden? Or maybe you're one of those people that spends a ton of time and money trying to green up your lawn. Well, let me tell you a dirty little secret that'll help your garden out. If you can find a way to take that water and dump it in your planter beds or in your garden, you'll be shocked at how well it'll work. We knew a guy that had an auto water changer in his fish room that had about 40 tanks in it. He had a plumber run the drain lines to a container in his yard, and his lawn sprinkler system pulled water from that container a couple times a week to water his lawn. His lawn was the nicest in the neighborhood, and he never had to buy fertilizer. Another good thing that dirty tank water is good for is your houseplants. I have a ton of houseplants in my house all over the place, and I mean like a ton. Trust me, this is a no-brainer if you can find a way to do it. Put that dirty, poopy tank water to good use.
One of the ways that I found early in my career to save money was actually from a fish store that I worked at. And so it's not my tip, but I've taken it from him and I've shared it with a bunch of people. And we used to share it with the customers, and I'm sharing it with you today. And that is, if you use test strips, which I'm a big fan of because it saves time, particularly I love the Tetra ones. There's other good ones as well, but that's just the one that I've used for so many years and I don't switch because it works. But the trick is you cut them in half lengthways. So now you get 2 tests. So one of the biggest complaints is, oh, test strips are expensive. You only get 25 in your kit. Well, instantly you can make 50. We do that at our store right now. We buy the 100 packs, and then I pay an employee to cut them in half. So we get 200, but it allows us to just test stuff all the time. And that's one of the biggest tips to save money. Test the water before it becomes a problem, so you don't have to put in a bunch of chemicals and do stuff. You can see it coming, and maybe you've overloaded your fish, and so you can stop buying fish. That'll save you money too. But cut them in half, one of my favorite tips.
This is another little thing you can do that won't save you big money immediately, but long term, it's a money saver for sure. Put your aquarium lights on a timer. Set your lights to be on certain times of the day, like when you get home from work, and turn off when you go to bed. Lights take a lot of power to run, especially if you're using the old school style aquarium lights or shop lights. If you have them on a timer, you won't be lighting them for hours and hours for no reason. The good thing is a lot of lights are coming with built-in timers now, or you can control them from an app on your phone. It's super easy to set up, and again, it'll save you a ton of money later on down the road.
So another money saving tip, which is counterintuitive, everyone says buy in bulk. I say no, don't buy in bulk, because too often we find something we love and we go buy a ton of it, and then like 2 months later, like, oh, I actually love this thing. And so I actually recommend buying small. So if we look at things like foods, by buying small, it's gonna be fresh when you open it. Now, you wanna use up a food within a month of opening it. If you buy the Costco-sized jar of flake food and you use that thing for a year, that's actually not as good. It can go rancid, it can go stale, it loses some of its vitamins. Now, it's gonna cost you more money by buying smaller jars of food. That is true. But you're gonna save money in fish disease and stuff going bad, and when you change your mind. Now, if you're a hobbyist like me, yes, I'm a hobbyist. If you're a hobbyist, you know that what you think is your favorite thing today is not what's gonna be tomorrow and the next day, because are we not setting up a tank like every week? Like, well, this is the next best thing I saw, and isn't your spouse kind of going, do you really need another tank all the time? If that's you like it is me, you can save money by going, well, I don't know what I'm gonna love next week, so I'll just buy what I love this week. And that's my tip, is buy small. And yes, if you own a giant fish farm and all that, great. Buy that 55-gallon barrel of pellets, sure. But buy what you're gonna use in about a month, so when your taste changes in fish and what you're doing, you're not left with, oh, there's all that extra stuff that I'm gonna use one day.